What caused the 2008 financial crisis? In the early 2000s, the financial system in the United States made bad choice after bad choice, which eventually led to what is known today as the 2008 financial crisis. Most people know about it or have at least heard about it, but few actually understand what led to this crisis and what lessons we can learn from it. In order for us to gain an understanding of how it came to be, we first have to look at mortgages. So imagine you were an average American trying to buy a house. You would most likely get a loan from the bank in return for an ownership of the house should you be unable to pay back this loan. This is what's known as a mortgage. Borrowers then pay back this mortgage over time with a certain amount of interest. How risky this mortgage is for the lender depends on how likely it is that the borrower, in this case you, is able to pay back this loan. These mortgages can also be traded amongst individuals and banks. And to create even more money, investment banks bundle these loans to so-called mortgage-backed securities. In the 2000s, investors poured lots of money into the housing markets due to the low interest rates other investments in the US, like US Treasury bonds, provided. And as real estate prices were also going up at the time, mortgage-backed securities and mortgages seemed like a great investment. Even if borrowers were to default on their loans, the banks could still sell those properties and pay back their investors with a good return, as real estate prices were so high. And as these securities were such a great investment, the demand for them increased. And this led to banks looking for ways to create even more of these mortgages and create even more of these mortgage-backed securities. But since there was only a limited amount of reliable borrowers, there, as a result, was only a limited amount of low-risk mortgages. So banks started bundling so-called subprime mortgages, which are loans lent from borrowers which are likely to default on their loans. So lent to people who are likely to not be able to pay back their mortgage. So they were very risky. At first everything seemed fine. People continued to invest in these securities and the housing prices kept increasing. So everything seemed fine. Many people were buying homes, many people were getting mortgages, many people were investing in these securities. But after some time, especially going into 2007, the expectable happens. All the subprime borrowers, so the people who were likely to not be able to pay back their loans, defaulted on the loans, and so the banks needed to sell all these houses. This created a huge supply of housing, but very little demand, since banks now suddenly sold all the houses, but there weren't actually more people that were looking for houses. And as a result, prices plummeted and the entire housing market crashed, and all these mortgages were worth a lot more than the actual house, but in reality everything at the time was more or less worthless. So even more people defaulted on their loans, and financial institutions stopped investing in these mortgage-backed securities as the investors didn't want to pour any more money into these securities. And numerous big investment banks were stuck with tons of worthless mortgages and tons of worthless houses, since nobody actually wanted to buy them and had to eventually declare bankruptcy. Since the whole system was so complex and so well embedded into the financial system, once the housing market collapsed, the whole system collapsed. All trading and all credit markets suddenly froze in the US, and the US eventually ended up in a huge recession. To keep the economy alive, the US government spent over $250 billion bailing out lots of these banks, since every economy is dependent on banks and needs banks. And the government also took numerous steps towards making mortgage-backed securities more transparent, regulated, and safer for investors. In the end, most people still blame financial institutions for this crisis. The responsibility goes far beyond banks and actually spreads amongst the whole of society. And obviously also the economy and the government of the United States. Today, lots of experts believe that the US is headed right into another recession of similar magnitude. Hopefully not, but it is definitely going to be important for the economy to learn from its mistakes that led to the 2008 financial crisis, to deal or to be able to better deal with future crises.